If you are hearing this at 2:17 a.m., do not ignore it, because I didn't believe it either until it happened to me. My name is Daniel Carter, and I am recording this because I don't think I will be able to say it again later. And before you dismiss me, ask yourself something honestly. Have you ever been inside a place that felt like it noticed you the moment you arrived? Not in a scary movie way, but in a quiet, real, uncomfortable way. Because that is exactly what happened to us. It started after we lost our daughter Lily, and I still don't know how to explain what that kind of loss does to a home. It doesn't just make it sad, it changes it. The silence becomes different, heavier, like the house is listening even when no one speaks. Emily barely talked after that, and I stopped trying to force conversation. We were still living together, but it felt like we were just sharing space instead of life. Then one day a letter arrived, no sender, no return address, just a property transfer in Emily's name from a distant relative she barely remembered. And I remember thinking it was strange, but not impossible. So we went. The drive got longer and quieter the further we went, until even the radio stopped working, and there was nothing but road and distance behind us that we couldn't feel anymore. And when we arrived, I remember slowing the car without thinking, because the place didn't feel like a normal place. It felt like something left it there on purpose and never came back for it. A wide, empty field, and in the center, a house standing alone. No movement anywhere, no birds, no wind, no sound at all. And I want you to imagine that kind of silence. The kind that feels like it is waiting for you to make the first mistake. Emily said maybe this is what we needed. A reset. A quiet place to start again. But I should have asked then. Start again from what exactly? That night I woke up at 2:17 a.m. Not because of a dream, but because something about the silence changed. And I know how that sounds, but it is the only way I can describe it. It was like the absence of sound suddenly became aware that I was awake. And then I heard it outside, footsteps, slow, circling the house, not running, not random, just packing like something was learning the shape of the building. Crunch, pause, crunch, pause. And I stayed still because I didn't want to prove to myself that it was real. But then the footsteps stopped right outside the window, and nothing followed. No wind, no animals, no anything, just presence. And in that moment, I remember asking myself, is fear supposed to feel loud? Or is it supposed to feel like nothing at all, until it is too late, morning came, and everything looked normal again, which somehow made it worse. No marks, no tracks, nothing. Emily said it was stress, grief, the mind playing tricks, and I wanted to believe her because the alternative didn't make sense. But the second night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., she woke up too. She grabbed my arm and whispered, "Do you hear that?" And I did, but it wasn't circling anymore. It was closer, heavier, like it was standing right outside the door instead of moving around us. And then came the sound of fingers on wood, slow, dragging contact, like something was feeling the surface of the door. And then 3 knocks, not fast, not impatient, just deliberate. And Emily told me not to open it, and I didn't. But it stayed there longer than anything should have stayed without leaving. And that is when I realized it wasn't waiting for permission. It was waiting for reaction. On the third day, we went out into the field because staying inside felt worse. And that is when we found it, half hidden in the ground, a wooden structure like a shrine, old and weathered, covered in symbols carved too deep to feel random, circles layered inside circles, patterns that didn't look designed by anything human. And in the center, there was a whistle, pale, old, almost like bone. And I remember feeling uncomfortable before anyone even touched it, like the air itself had changed around it. Emily picked it up, and for a few seconds, nothing happened. And I remember thinking maybe it really was just something old and meaningless. But that thought didn't last, because that night at 2:17 a.m., there was no wind at all, not even the faintest movement outside. And I remember thinking that silence had never felt so complete before, like the entire world had stopped trying to exist. And then Emily sat up suddenly and said, "They are here." But her voice didn't sound fully like hers. And I want you to think about that for a second. How would you react if someone you knew spoke like there was someone else inside their words? She raised the whistle to her lips and blew. And I swear to you there was no sound from her side. But something answered anyway, far away at first, then closer, like it was moving through space without using distance. And the house reacted, not violently, just slightly, like old wood adjusting under pressure. And then I heard it inside the hallway. A step, then another, slow, dragging movement, like something was remembering how to walk inside a body that wasn't ready for it. And when I turned, there was nothing clearly visible, just movement where movement shouldn't exist. And Emily whispered, "I know them. They have been waiting." And that was the moment I understood something I wish I never understood. This wasn't something coming for us randomly. It felt like we had arrived somewhere we were always expected to arrive at. After that, Emily changed, not suddenly, not like in movies, but slowly in a way that made it harder to notice until it was already happening. She started going outside at night, standing in the field for long periods of time, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. And I kept asking myself if silence can belong to different people at the same time, or if I was the only one not hearing what was being said. Sometimes she came back and smiled like nothing was wrong, but it never felt like her anymore. And then one night she didn't come back at all. I went looking for her, and the field felt different, heavier, like the space above it had lowered closer to the ground. And I found her at the shrine, standing perfectly still, surrounded by movement in the dark that never touched her, but never left her alone either. And when she turned to me, she said, "They are not here to hurt us. They are here to take us back." And I asked her back where, and she pointed down at the ground. And in that exact moment, I heard it again. Not outside, not behind me, but beneath me, footsteps under the house, clear enough that I knew they were not imagination anymore. And now I am here again inside the house, and it is 2:17 a.m., and I can hear them under the floor, not above me, not around me, but directly beneath me, like the house is only a thin surface separating me from something that has been waiting far longer than I can understand. And if you are still listening to this, I want you to ask yourself one last thing. If this was real, would you still stay and listen? Or would you have stopped the moment it started feeling like it was talking about you too? Because I think the worst part is not that it is here. It is that it already knows I am speaking about it. And it might already know you are listening right now. See you next story. More recordings are coming with Anna 7.